Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today for our June webinar, halfway through the year, which is a little crazy. My name is Allie. I'm Director of Communications for Face It Together, and I'm joined here by Aubrey and Katie. And they're going to introduce themselves shortly, but just want to go over those couple of quick housekeeping items. So, for any of those who may be unfamiliar, we are Face It Together. We're an addiction wellness nonprofit, and we provide peer coaching to anyone impacted by addiction, and that includes loved ones. We offer that often at no cost as often as we can. So we're here if you need to reach out. Our website is wefaceit together.org. During our conversation today, please feel free to ask questions. You can use the Q&A button. You can use the chat. And then lastly, I'd like to mention that these webinars are a benefit to our Fit at Work partnership. So that's where we partner with employers to provide our peer coaching as a mental health benefit. So maybe you've seen our flyer in your break room, or you've gotten an email about this Fit at Work program. That means your employer really believes in this approach and wants you to be well and wants you to get the help that you need. So that is a confidential benefit. We are here to help. Please don't hesitate to reach out. So today we are talking all about meditation. I'm ready. I'm ready for a Zen. Take a beat as summer, the craziness of summer kicks off. Um, Before we even get to some of our introductions and kind of reflecting on our own journeys with meditation, I mean, we can't have a webinar about meditation without doing a quick one. So I've asked Katie if she would be willing to lead us for just a couple minutes, just to get grounded, get started in the right state of mind.
Absolutely, yes. Why don't we just go ahead and get started today? And I'd like to invite everyone to take a few moments to just settle in. So you don't need to sit in a certain way, clear your mind, or even do anything perfectly. If you're comfortable, allow your feet to connect with the floor. You might gently lower your gaze or close your eyes. And then go ahead and take a slow breath in through your nose and a slow breath out. Again, breathing in and breathing out. And as you sit here, simply notice that you are breathing. There's no need to change it. Just notice the feeling of air moving in and out of your body. You may notice thoughts showing up, and that's completely normal. Our minds think. That's what they do. Rather than fighting those thoughts or judging yourself for having them, simply notice them and gently bring your attention back to your breath. Take some time to notice the chair supporting you, to notice your feet touching the floor, to notice any sounds around you. Allow yourself to be here, just as you are in this moment. Take one more slow breath in and one slow breath out. As we begin today's conversation, see if you can bring a little of this awareness and curiosity with you. And when you're ready, open your eyes and return your attention to the room.
Thank you, Katie.
Yeah, it always feels
Hopefully,
good for me, even leading the meditation. I always just feel
right?
so much more grounded.
Why don't we start every meeting this way? I'm just taking in my surroundings. I'm feeling good. Thank you. And
Yes, yes.
hopefully anyone watching here now or in the recording, you were able to join in. You're feeling good, feeling ready. So let's move to introductions then. Um, Maybe if you want to start just letting people know why you're here, what drew you to meditation in the first place. Aubrey, if you want to kick us off.
Sure. So my name is Aubrey. I am a uh, person with addiction and a loved one coach here with Face It Together. I've been with the organization for almost 5 years, and that kind of ties me into how I started meditation because I started around the same time that Katie started. And so, her and I, being the new coaches, we worked very closely together, and she was the one who introduced me one day to meditation when we were in the office. And so, since then, it's just been such a blessing to have had that experience, and it really opened my mind to exploring, different types of meditation, different ways to use it, how it's helpful for me, when I need it, and all of those things. So I am deeply appreciative to Katie for that, and so excited to be on the webinar today.
Hey, thank you. Katie, what about
Yeah.
you?
Well, first of all, that is so fun for me to hear, Aubrey, because I didn't know that until today. So
Oh,
that is so sweet for me to know. But yes, my name is Katie. I'm the director of operations at Face It Together. I also do coaching at Face It Together as well. And my journey with meditation started on accident. It wasn't intentional by any means. When I was getting sober, I was in treatment and like I was like, I am gonna be in shape, right? So anything to do with like working out, I was there. Like that was what I wanted to do. And so I signed up for this yoga class, right? Because it was like the
mhm.
only workout class that they had. And I went and it was definitely not working out. It was like a restorative yoga class and it was like very slow, like doing moves like
Mhm.
legs up the wall and intentional breathing. And I left and I was like, I feel so good. Like I couldn't remember feeling that good and like that relaxed for
Mhm.
so long that I was like, I need to do this more, right? And so like I just started talking to the lady that led the group and she gave me some information on meditation and I just really like spent some time diving in and I feel like it was just like the beginning of a journey for me.
Mhm.
So it was
Mhm.
accidental, but also profoundly changing for me and just like the whole way through my journey since then.
I love that, especially because sometimes you sign up for a yoga class and you have the opposite problem where you're like, this is not yoga. This is this is intense weightlifting and cardio. What am I doing?
I might know what you're talking about.
I'm curious, I'm curious about that, Katie, because um I think a lot of us, and definitely myself included, there can be some kind of resistance to that, especially if we're not maybe in the right headspace or expecting it. Like I'm expecting to work out, I'm expecting to move, expel energy. Like, was there any resistance in that class? Like, were we able to push through that and just kind of surrender to the breath? Like, how did that play out for you?
Um, I think for me, it was interesting because she mentioned like right when we were starting that it wasn't going to be like a workout class, that it was going to be very low key. And I was disappointed, but
Yeah.
you know, I was just like, I'm here for it. It's whatever. It's a new experience. And so I don't, I don't really remember like being like resistant to it or anything.
Yeah.
Like the thing that really stands out for me is like, I didn't really feel like I was like doing anything necessarily, but I left feeling so good. And like that was the profound part, the profound part that stood out for me. That was hard coming back from that one.
I didn't know I needed that, but that was great. Uh, we roll with it, right? Um, so how, like, since then, and we are going to get into some kind of like breaking this down a little bit more, making it maybe a little bit more manageable for someone hoping to get started in meditation or go down that path. But I like to give people an idea of where we're all coming from and what our journeys have been, how we think about it now. So I'm curious um, how you would talk about meditation today for you both, and does it support calm, balance? What is it? What does it give you? What does it look like? How often is it in play? I know that's a lot of questions wrapped into one, but just where would you say you were both at today in your journeys?
Yeah, so I can hop in, and it's been an evolving journey for me. I learned about meditation, and like I went into prison like shortly after I learned about meditation, and so it was like a really instrumental part of my my journey.
Mhm.
And so a big piece of it for me was recognizing that meditation wasn't about like erasing all thoughts, right? Like it wasn't about like completely checking out. Like for me, meditation was like getting to this place where I felt like maybe I was a little bit more in control of my mind.
Mhm.
And so I was able to like sit with myself and my actual life experience, right? And like one thing that I really learned in like my meditation journey and like going through prison is I felt like I was in such distress sometimes, and I would like sit in this
Mhm.
moment and I would recognize I have everything I need right here. Like in this actual moment, everything was okay. So it really
Mhm.
helped me learn that distress tolerance and like being able to like center back to like, this is a thought and it's leading to an emotion and it's
Mhm.
maybe not comfortable, but like I'm actually okay. Um,
Mhm.
and so that changed a lot for me in just like in terms of my like recovery, my wellness and all of that. Um, and so meditation has evolved to me over the years. My life is way more busy than it was when I was in prison, right? And so my meditations are like squeezed in, like I leave for work an extra 15 minutes early so I can meditate for 15 minutes in the parking lot before like I walk in. And
Mhm.
for me now, it's a lot about like slowing down,
Mhm.
nervous system regulation, because if I don't take that moment, like I can be like here, my nervous system is up here all day
Mhm.
long and like I'm not functioning at full capacity. So it's like just about like coming back to here, right?
Mhm.
And it doesn't always mean that my brain shuts off during that time, right? And it
Right.
doesn't mean that like I'm perfect and like I'm like completely zen, but it means like I can just like come back to these things that help me like calm a little bit.
Mhm. Mhm. Turn the dial back even just a little. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Aubrey?
Well, I'll share a little bit more about that experience, Katie, that first
Yeah.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember, so you asked me, would you like to meditate with me? And in my mind at that point in time, meditation to me was like, I thought we were gonna go like sit on a pillow with our legs crisscrossed and our fingers together like this and be
Uh-huh.
like, or something. That's what I thought. And I was like, well, okay, I'll try. And then Katie actually did very similar to what she did at the beginning of the meeting. She guided like kind of my thoughts, kind of told throughout that, like telling me like can I like how to breathe or whatever and where to focus my attention and um to choose like an affirmation or a word that I wanted to focus on. And that was so different than what I always thought that meditation was. And so since then, I've done meditations, just on my own. I've experienced them through therapy, like my own personal therapy sessions, and have just really learned now to utilize that, just kind of like what Katie said too, to just bring my nervous system down. Sometimes I can feel like my body is just like vibrating
Mhm.
inside and like my muscles are just so tense. And
Mhm.
a lot of times it's at night when I'm trying to like relax and go to sleep and I just like feel still just like wound up tight. And so just doing like a little meditation, breathing, just kind of feeling my muscles melt a bit, it just really helps me to, yeah, just come back down
Mhm.
and just relax and kind of release some of that tension and yeah. that's how I have been using it, I guess, since then today.
Yeah, I love it. And I love this first full circle moment we have where Katie kind of was part of your start and now we're all here today. It's lovely.
Mhm.
Are there any myths or misunderstandings about meditation that we want to debunk? Amber, you just mentioned one, kind of what your expectation of meditation was and what it turned out to be. Are there any other that come to mind for you?
Well, kind of like Katie had said too about like having there be no thoughts,
Right.
because that was always really like I couldn't even imagine that. I don't know if it's even possible, but yeah, I think that's definitely a myth.
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to think of other ones too that I've heard. I know some people think it's kind of like a woo-woo type thing. And so it's
Mm,
not worshiping like some whatever. It's not, at least that's not how I utilize it. I'm sure that
sure.
it probably could be. But yeah, I just think it's really more about just being present in your own body and just
Hmm.
really grounding yourself in your environment and the moment that you're in.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else come to mind for you, Katie?
I just think about like people come in and I have people like when I'm like, would you be open to mindfulness or meditation, right? And like right off the bat, they say, I'm not good at that, right? And
Mm.
it's not like this like innate skill that some of us just like have or don't have. It's just like a muscle, right? And
Sure.
so the more that we do it, the more that we are better at it, right? And it doesn't always have to just look like, like even a guided meditation. It can be breath work. It could be
Hmm.
gardening, right? I have a guy and he's like, I can't like sit with the quiet, but like I just turn on music and like my focused attention is just like
Mm.
on that music. And
Hmm.
so it's amazing like how much we can learn just from like those moments of stillness. And another just like really cool thing in align with that is meditation like actually changes the physical structure of our brain, which I think
Hmm.
is like really amazing and speaks to the effectiveness of it. It can help with learning, memory, emotional regulation, and self-awareness. And so
Hmm.
it's like we develop those things because we're meditating. We don't meditate because we already like have
Hmm.
those things.
Hmm. Yeah, and I love the gardening example you shared. And I was going to ask this question a little later on, but let's go there. Can movement be part of meditation? Can it have music, walking, dancing, stretching? Like what are some other examples we can share with folks?
Right. Yeah. Walking is a really great example. I think that it's like why some people enjoy like running so much,
Hmm.
right? Because it's like and when you think about that, it's like more of like this mindful thing, right? It's focused attention. So it's
Sure.
like being more aware of like what's happening in our brain, in our body.
Hmm.
I do a lot of like mindful meditations where like people are like recognizing what's happening in their body.
Hmm.
But yeah, like yoga, that's a lot of people refer to yoga as like meditation in movement.
Hmm.
But yeah, a lot of really great different examples for
Hmm.
meditation.
Hmm. Yeah, and I would hope that that kind of makes it a little less intimidating, maybe for the person who is can't sit still. That doesn't work for me. That brings up really strong feelings in me, or whatever the case. Or
Hmm.
I've even had maybe there are some really anxious thoughts or running thoughts. And so, yeah, meditation can be like really, yes, focus on your body. I've also done sensory walks where I'm
Hmm.
like, yeah, what is it? Five things you see, four things you hear, however that goes. But just like, oh, look at that squirrel who's taunting my dog. Speaking from yesterday's walk. But
Yep.
just really taking in your surroundings. I try to be intentional with, yeah, maybe sometimes I am listening to a podcast or music, but sometimes I'm really just trying to just be open to what's around me. And so I think that could be a good way for folks to think about it too. Meditation doesn't have to be this very serious, still experience. It can be
Yeah.
lots of different
Yeah.
things.
bird watching,
Yeah.
like all the things, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Are there any other ways we want to talk about meditation or ways to think about it that feel a little bit more manageable, or even ways to just incorporate mindfulness into an existing routine or your day to day for the person who does feel really busy? It feels heavy to take on another task because I think we fall into that trap, right? It's another thing to do, which yeah, that's all I'll say about that. But any initial thoughts?
Mm, yeah, yeah. Well, and I am like, I'm one of those very busy people, right? And sometimes it feels difficult to be able to like make time to
Mhm,
meditate. And so, like, I think one thing that is really important to know is like, there are studies that show that you can benefit from meditation, whether it's like 3 minutes, right? Like it
mhm,
doesn't need to be like I'm sitting silent for like 20 minutes, right?
mhm,
And like when I'm working with members or people who are coming in and they're like wanting to like work on some of these like mindfulness, like meditation skills, sometimes I like just teach them breathing, right? And
mhm,
because like some of us don't know how to do that like deep diaphragmic breathing that automatically slows our nervous system down. And
mhm,
so, you know, we call it the belly breath. And so like taking that deep breath into our belly, and so it can be just as simple as like, I'm noticing right now that I'm activated. Like, I am noticing right now that I'm having a lot of anxiety. I'm noticing right
mhm,
now that, like, maybe I'm a little bit disassociated and I want to, like, just come back a little bit and just be more present. And so, you know, just like being able to put a hand on your belly and a hand on your chest and noticing where you feel the breath, right?
mhm, mhm,
And just focusing on like trying to get that breath down to your belly because just that in itself triggers our parasympathetic nervous system, which is our
mhm,
rest and digest, right? So that is something that you can do like if you're not putting a hand on both your chest and your belly, right? Just maybe on your belly. Nobody's going to
mhm,
notice that, right? Like you can do that in the middle of a meeting. You could do that if you're interviewing and you're like, "Oh, I'm tanking," right? Like let me
mhm,
just take a breath. Let me just like pull
mhm,
myself back here. So it can be very minimal, right? It's just like coming back to ourselves, our bodies, the present moment.
mhm. And to compare it to what you said earlier about building a muscle, we wouldn't go to the gym and expect to start at a really, really high weight for something we've never done before. We start small. So I think that's a
Mhm,
really good kind of analogy. What else comes
mhm.
to mind for you, Aubrey? Other ways to think about it, make it more manageable?
Well, kind of wanted to comment on what Katie just said too. I had watched, I think it was a TED Talk or something a few years ago, but he had used the example of like how in primitive like days when it was like caveman days or whatever, even now, whatever, if you're being chased by something, if you're in danger and like once the danger like passes or it's gone, like what do? You go, and
Mm-hmm.
that like activates that, like she said, parasympathetic system, the safe, like rest and digest. And so I don't know, when I heard that too, I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Or
But
the zebra that, yeah, once it's done being chased, it like it shakes,
shakes,
it
yeah.
Uh-huh.
twitches, it like releases that pent up energy, and yeah, you're not stiff, you're not tense anymore. You're loose with it, which I have to remind myself about that constantly.
Mhm. Yeah. That's funny, yeah. But yeah, definitely it doesn't have to be a long time. It doesn't
Mhm,
have to be, just that sitting still for 20 minutes, like Katie said too. It doesn't need to be
mhm,
that. I just think it can be so much more simple than what people think, and it doesn't take a lot of time. It doesn't take a lot of effort either,
mhm,
always.
mhm. What about, and maybe I think everything we've been talking about is for these folks, but for people who say I can't turn my brain off, we've already talked about that's not really the intention. It's to be where you're at in that moment of time, go with the flow, let the thoughts come as they come. Any other, I guess, advice we want to give people, or if that's their hang up about meditation, mindfulness, what would we say to them?
Mm. I would say like take that time and find what works for you, right? And like it's fair if you have a lot of trauma, if you've been running from your emotions for a long time, like if it's really hard for you to sit still, trying to sit for 20 minutes, you probably feel like you're going to crawl out of your skin, right?
Hmm.
And so it goes back to that like distress tolerance. We're learning to like sit with ourselves, right? Like just approach it with more curiosity, right? Like, oh, maybe that didn't go how I wanted it to go, how I thought it would go. Those weren't the results that I was expecting. But is there something else that might work? So I would just advise people to be curious about what is the best form for them.
Hmm.
Actually have an experience, I think, that really resonates with this question. Because one of my therapists would do the guided meditation with me, like in our
Hmm.
sessions. And it was so great. Oh, I remember I just like felt like I became one with the chair when she would do that. And then she said, "Okay, so like what I want you to do now for the next week is I want you to do this every day, do this meditation on your own." And I was like, "Oh yeah, absolutely. I would love to do this like all the time." And so I remember I had a break between meetings here at work. And so I was sitting in the office and I had the door closed and everything. So it was like, I had that space. And I started running through like the script, the meditation script that she had done with me. And it was like, you're walking through a forest, you notice the trees, you notice the wind, moving in the trees, you see the sunlight kind of shining through the trees, and you walk through this path, and like as you get down the path, you notice this field, you know, and it simple, but in my head at that moment, I was like, yep, okay, walking through this path, I see the trees. I see the sunlight. Oh, I'm moving faster. Yep, I'm moving. I'm running now. I'm running down the path and now I'm gonna trip. There's gonna be a stick or something. I know it. I'm gonna trip. And I was just like, oh, my brain was just like
Oh.
went wild. And then I was like, okay, that didn't work. So then I tried to do the, notice what you can hear, notice what
Hmm.
you can see. But even then, my brain, it was like, I hear Joe in the other room. I smell
Hmm.
coffee. I hear the radio. I feel this.
Hmm.
Joe, coffee, radio, this, go. And it was like, oh, this isn't working either. And so I think to Katie's point too is just like really practicing and then exploring different
Yeah,
things to know what works for you and like what you might need just depending on where you're at in that moment. Because I've
for
also
sure.
had times where I've been just really anxious, super,
Hmm.
super anxious that I couldn't let the tension go. I couldn't.
Hmm.
It was just, I was stuck. And in those moments, I found an app that has immersive guided
Hmm.
meditations. And so if you hold the phone in your hand and then it'll like throughout the meditation, it'll like your phone will vibrate.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah, and that really helped me to kind of like I had like that stimulation here and there
Yeah.
to like kind of pull my brain back.
Pull you
to-
back into your body. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's really cool. Thanks
Yeah.
for sharing that, Aubrey. And thanks for mentioning apps too, because I did, of course, there are so many out there. So I'm going to put that plug here that if this is something you're exploring, you maybe need a little help, a little guidance would be helpful. Too many apps to even name and free versions out there. So it would definitely encourage folks to check those out and yeah, just see what works. And yeah, well, this was lovely. Thank you both so much. I hope we gave some more insight for folks, hopefully, some things to try, different ways to think about meditation. What final words of encouragement do we want to leave people with here today, or anything else we haven't covered yet? Aubrey?
Um, I would just encourage everyone to just, yeah, be curious, just look and see what's out there, try different things, kind of adapt it to what you need it to be. Because
Mhm.
basically, for me anyway, the most of the time what I need is just to bring myself back in
Hmm.
and to just, let go of the tension and just like give my body that moment to like release. And so trying different things and just use what works and what doesn't work, that's okay.
Hmm. Absolutely. Katie?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we did a really good job of covering a lot of ground. I mean, I think if I could just leave people with something, right? Meditation's been around for so long, and there's so much science behind just the effectiveness of like how meditation supports people,
Hmm.
whether in recovery or not. And so, just give it a shot and see what works
Hmm.
for you. Find that
Hmm.
fit.
Absolutely. Thank you both so much. Thanks everyone watching now, watching the recording. If you have any other questions for us, maybe you want to get connected with a peer coach. We barely even talked about addiction today, which that's okay because we're talking here we go. Meditation. But I think it absolutely has its role in the addiction wellness journey. It played a role in both of your journeys. So if you have any other questions, you're looking for resources, please don't hesitate to reach out. Best place to reach us is at wefaceit together.org. All of our contact information is there. You can get started in coaching if you need any help. We are here for you. So thank you again and have a great rest of your day.